Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is BMARIE and today we're just going to be talking about the new Sephora Pro palette, the warm one of course. And if you want to see like my swatches, first impressions, and everything on this palette, obviously you need to subscribe to my channel, just saying, and then stay tuned for the rest of the video. So this is what the packaging looks like for the Sephora Warm Pro palette, and it just has like this nice foiled gold lettering on the front, as you can see right here. On the back of the palette, it just has a little bit of a description right here that is talking about what Sephora Pro is, and then of course like the ingredients and then the shades and shade names as well here. So Sephora Pro is basically the pro team that Sephora developed. So basically if you're a Sephora cast member or a Sephora senior artist, I believe you can audition for the Pro Team, which is made up of the 15 top makeup artists from Sephora. And that is worldwide. And I believe that they did collaborate together to create all the Sephora Pro palettes. So this, like I said, is the packaging, and it also has like that same like foiled gold rim around there. So this is the packaging of the actual palette right here. So it just has that nice flat matte black packaging, and then of course that gold lettering on the front here, the same as the lettering on the box. And then on the back it just says Sephora Pro Warm Palette, and then it just talks about the net weight and where the palette was made. So this is the packaging right here. I think it is nice and sleek, which I really like. It's just super simple, and then it's also pretty heavy, a lot heavier than I expected. I feel like they put a weight in it just so it would feel expensive, which makes sense because the palette does retail for about $68, which is pretty pricey for Sephora collection. So once you open the palette, you see that it has a nice mirror. This mirror is literally huge. It takes up this whole front area of the palette, which is nice, which is super perfect for travel if you kind of need like a really big mirror, which I feel like we often do because who brings a mirror with them when they're doing their makeup? So the mirror in this is perfect, nice and huge. And then it also comes with a film right here that just has the name of the shades for the palette, but that is removable, as you can see. And then here are the shades of the palette right here. As you can see, they're all nice like warm tones. Ready on my camera is picking up a little bit more pinky for a couple of the shades, but overall it's just pretty warm, nice neutral palette. So the palette features 28 shades, and then like I stated earlier, the finishes of the shades in the palette are chrome, matte, shimmer, and satin finishes. And then I did say that the palette does retail for $68, which like I said is a little bit pricey. Also, a good thing to know is these Sephora Pro palettes are actually limited edition. So if you're debating on getting one and you feel like it's worth the money, I would definitely urge you to, because they have been blowing up all on social media. So the palette is set to release in store, I believe, on July 14th. However, some stores already have them, which is kind of how I got my palette right here. And then I believe today, which is July 4th, which I probably won't upload this until the 5th, the palette did release online with the other two palettes as well. I did use the palette on my eyes today. So I just did kind of like this warm, like smoky with a little bit of gold in the inner corner look today using only this palette. And I can honestly say that the shades were very smooth, super pigmented, buttery, all those good things you want your eyeshadow to be. The only con that I can say about the palette is that there was definitely a little bit of fallout with pretty much all of the shades except for like the shimmer shades, but that can be expected with a palette that's so soft and buttery and high in pigment. So what I'm going to do now is pick out a few of the shades in the palette, and I'm just going to swatch them on my arm for you. So the first shade that I'm going to swatch is going to be this nice brown one right here in the corner. So I'm just going to take that and swatch it with my finger on the front of my arm. And like I said, The palette is really smooth. The shadows are super pigmented and nice and buttery. So they're really soft, creamy, all that good stuff. So there is that first shade right there on my arm. So the next shade that I will swatch will probably be this yellow shade, only because it looks super fun, and who doesn't like a good gold, or who doesn't like a good yellow shadow? So I'm just going to take my middle finger here, rub it around a little bit, and then I'm going to swatch it on my arm for you guys. And that is that yellow shade right there. And as you can see, that is pretty pigmented. Both of the shades I just swatched are actually matte shades as well. So the next shade that I'm going to swatch is going to be this deep gold one right here. And this one is super soft and very, very pigmented. So I'm just going to swatch it right there for you guys. And as you can see, that is super pigmented, extra blinding, like amazing, amazing, amazing. And that is one of the shades that I did use in my eye look today. So the fourth shade that I'm going to swatch in this palette is going to be this kind of like reddish, burgundy, purpley shade. And I'm just going to swatch that one with my pinky. And this one is more of like a shimmer shade, and I'm just gonna swatch it right here, right next to that gold shade. And as you can see, that was super pigmented, just saying. And then of course the last shade that I'm gonna swatch in the palette, since there is a nice black shade in here, might as well go ahead and see. It's really hard for companies, I feel like, to get a good pigmented matte black. So I'm just going to swatch that one for you as well. So here it is on my finger. And then right here next to that red shade. And as you can see, that is a nice matte black, super pigmented, and very, very blendable. So overall, I would say that the palette is definitely worth the $68. I do really like the palette, and I feel like it's just a great neutrals palette, which just has like a little bit of everything. So it has like a little bit of shimmer, a little bit of color, some deeper tones. Like, it's perfect if you want to do like any warm tone looks. And like I said, it does retail for $68, but again, it is worth the $68. Also, I forgot to mention that the palette does come with a little pamphlet right here, which is in white. And basically the pamphlet just has some pictures of the shadow shades, and it also just kind of is like a tutorial or a guide, so to speak, for different looks that you can use with the palette. So it just gives you the instructions here, and then it tells you what shadows to use to achieve a certain look. So the first look you can do with this palette would be like a natural look, a second look would be a warm smoky, third look would be a defined smoky, and the fourth look will be a dimensional smoky eye. So if you're looking for a palette, obviously, to do a smoky eye, this one is for you. So for my final thoughts on the palette, I definitely feel like it is worth it. I know I said that already probably like 3 or 4 times now, but it is definitely worth the $68. The shadows are super creamy, buttery, smooth. If you don't mind a little bit of fallout, then this palette is definitely for you. I think the palette is somewhat comparable to Natasha Denona, which is kind of where I think they got the idea, whereas that palette kind of retails for $238, where this one is only $68, and you get amazing pigmentation and 28 beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shadows. And also too, if you want to see more swatches of this limited edition palette, please be sure to click the link below. I will include a link to my friend's Instagram where she did some swatches from the palette, and then of course I will link some more swatches so you guys can see, since I only did 5 swatches of the palette. But all in all, if you enjoyed this video, obviously you should subscribe. I'm doing more videos. I'm being super consistent, so why wouldn't you want to subscribe? Just saying. And yeah, subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and enjoy the rest of your day.